This is Sir Isaac Newton. During his time, it was believed that white light was fundamental, pure, and colorless. The colors created by prisms and lenses were thought to be contaminations rather than components of the original source light. In 1666, he came up with an experiment that split sunlight into its component colors before recombining it into white light. This crucial experiment laid the groundwork for everything we now know about light and color. I made this rainbow lamp to demonstrate Newton's findings, as well as to illustrate some quirks of human color perception. It has filters that allow all of the primary, secondary, and tertiary colors of light to pass through. When all of the colors are turned on, they combine to produce white light. It's pretty cool to see this mixing happen in person, even if you already know what the result will be. It goes against intuition to see all of these unique vivid colors combine to produce something so plain and neutral. All of the original colors are still present, but they get interpreted as a single perception that we call white. If you're familiar with the technology behind human eyes, camera sensors, and color screens, you'll probably already know that red, green, and blue are the only colors necessary to produce white, or at least something that our brains perceive as white. That's because the color receptors in our eyes, called cones, have evolved to respond to light in those three wavelengths. Our red cones are mutated green cones that respond a bit further into the red wavelengths, just far enough to provide a survival advantage over individuals with only two color receptors. The common ancestor of all mammals had 4 receptors, but lost 2 of them when they became nocturnal burrowers during the age of dinosaurs. Selective pressures favored light sensitivity over color perception, so we lost the ability to detect ultraviolet and red. Primates re-evolved red cones around 30 million years ago, giving us access to all of the warm colors of the spectrum that we enjoy today. When these 3 color receptors are equally stimulated, our brains produce the perception of white. Even though most of the wavelengths that are normally present in white light are missing, we don't have the hardware to detect the gaps. These primary colors of light are all that it takes to create the perception of white in our brains. They can also be mixed to produce the illusion of colors that fall between them, called secondary colors. Red and green can create the perception of yellow, even though the wavelengths associated with yellow light aren't present. Green and blue can produce the perception of cyan, and red and blue produce the perception of magenta. Magenta is a particularly strange perception because it is a color that doesn't correspond to any wavelength of spectral light. True spectral colors have a single wavelength that produces them. You can only make magenta or purple by combining red and blue light. Our brain takes the red and blue signals and invents a perception to make sense of the not green color. Everything your brain interprets as purple, magenta, rose, or pink is produced by a combination of long and short wavelengths of light rather than its own single wavelength. Just like white, these perceptions have to be assembled from component parts. The secondary colors can also combine to produce false perceptions. Yellow, cyan, and magenta can be mixed to produce the perception of white. That's 2 ways we can be tricked into seeing white with only 3 pieces of it. Well, 4 pieces if you count the red, blue, magenta imposter. What about the colors in between the primary and secondary colors? These are called tertiary colors. Again, as long as they are positioned the right distance apart, you can trick your brain into seeing white with orange, aquamarine, and purple, or with chartreuse, azure, and rose. Is it possible to make white with only 2 colors? Here's red and aquamarine, orange and cyan, yellow and azure, chartreuse and purple, and green and magenta. These combinations still manage to trigger all 3 color receptors evenly, creating the perception of white. It turns out our visual systems are pretty easy to trick into seeing white or any other color, even when the color isn't there or doesn't really exist in the first place. The world you experience inside your head is only a crude approximation of reality, and is prone to all kinds of deceptions and distortions. Science is a tool that helps us identify these shortcomings in our perceptions so that our understanding of reality can become more accurate and useful. Anyway, this thing is really fun to play with. It makes beautiful shadows, and makes aluminum foil look really cool. If you want to make your own, I'll include a link to the STLs as well as the switches, color gels, and LED tape I used in the description. Thank you for watching.